Hey y'all, I want to introduce you to Starting Block, the best co-working space in Madison. If you work from home or you are new to Madison, or you just feel like you don't have a professional community, you should definitely check out Starting Block. Many of you may know Starting Block as Madison's startup hub, but it's a lot more than that. They're constantly hosting networking and professional events for the community, and their co-working membership rates are super competitive. So if you're tired of working from home or you want to build your professional community, check out Starting Block at startingblockmadison.org. And that's startingblockmadison.org. Today on CityCast Madison. It's Tuesday, so that means it's time for another must-see Madison. This week, we're talking about our favorite places to read, write, and think in the beautiful Madisonia. First, we talk to special youth judge for this year's Madison Public Library's annual We Read Youth Writing Contest, Dia DeWall. Dia won last year's writing contest, so we wanted to get her recommendations. And then I gabbed with executive producer Haley Sperling about our best tips for local spots to read, write, and think. It's Tuesday, August 20th. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Dia, hello.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh my God, thanks for being here. We literally just had the time of our lives. You and I were judges for this year's We Read Youth Voice Writing Contest, which is put on by Madison Public Library, and it just wrapped. And I describe this experience as exhilarating and inspiring. We judged the high school age entries, and there was so much talent. It's just really exciting. Like, how was the experience for you this year?
I thought it was such a fun experience. It was so fun to read all the pieces. I'm sad that it's over, honestly. And there was so much talent. It was so hard to decide, like, if we wanted to advance and everything. And I was just super impressed with all the entries.
Yeah, I was out here, like, crying probably over at least 15 of the entries. They were so powerful and beautiful. This year's theme was really sweet, and I felt like it kind of almost had a local component to it, which is, quote, celebrate small heroes. So every act of heroism, bravery, and kindness. And we are talking to you because not only are you a judge, but Dia, you actually won the whole competition last year. And that's pretty cool.
It was really, it was unexpected for sure.
It was unexpected?
Yeah. So I do robotics, and we do these like STEM summer camps at the library, and my mom, and my mom knows I like to write. And so she pulled up like this brochure, and she's like, hey, there's this writing contest. You should enter in it. And so I couldn't think of anything to write for. And I think last year's theme was empathy. And I just wrote like the entry probably like maybe 2 days before. I did a quick spell check, and then I submitted it. I was like, you know what, whatever happens, happens. And so I heard that like the people who didn't like win, they find out like 2 weeks into August or something. And so I was like fully expecting an email 2 weeks into August, but then I'm sitting on the breakfast table eating cereal, and I get this email that's like, oh my God, you're a grand prize winner. And I was just so shocked. I was like, this is not real.
Yes. I mean, I actually want to read your entry. It's The War of a Million Years. And the contest is really cool. But then they also make an anthology at the end of kind of the winners. And that's going to be the same this year. And then you're celebrated at the Wisconsin Book Festival. So what is that all like? What was that experience like?
It was cool. It was like honestly like this little whirlwind of stuff. And I was just so excited. Like my heart would do a little skip every single time I read like an email or something about it. But you get to go to these soccer games, the Forward FC, like the Madison team of the Flamingos. I don't know anything about soccer, but my family thought it was pretty fun. So I think that was fun. And then I really liked the banquet at the end and seeing all the entries. And it's so interesting to see how like everyone has a different take on the theme. And it's just so beautiful how like all of them come together in the anthology.
It really is. And, you know, for those, we're just meeting you. I met you already, but for the folks who are listening, can you quickly tell us like where you go to school, what year you are, just a little bit about yourself and why you chose to return as a judge?
Yeah, so I'm 16. I go to Middleton High School, and I'm going to be a junior in September. So that's a little exciting and also nerve-wracking at the same time. I chose to be a judge because I was like the youth ambassador. So I got to come up with like the theme of the small heroes and everything. And I got to promote it as well. So I was really interested to see like what people would come up with, and just see them. And I was really interested about like the process of like, because I won last year. So I was like, I wonder what it's like to judge that sort of writing competition. And it's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. It was definitely something, but yeah, I really liked being a judge, so I thought it was a really cool experience to do it.
Yeah. And you and I got on a Zoom call and basically like talked through all of the highlights and the things that moved us. And that was so lovely. And you just mentioned that you run the robotics team at Middleton. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so our like high school doesn't have one, but like the Middleton area does, and it actually runs out of my basement, which is pretty interesting.
Really? Wow.
But we kind of start teams all over like Madison. So those are kind of like my main two hobbies is like writing, and then there's robotics. So it's a nice little blend.
Amazing. Yeah, and we definitely got some entries that were sci-fi related and mixed. So I feel like there's a lot of good spaces for that. I love this contest. I hope to be invited every single year. But if not, it was so fun doing it with you. And also, it's such a cool opportunity for the community, for Madisonians. We're talking on our must-see Madison. And I feel like our libraries are a part of must-see Madison, not just because they're aesthetically cool, but they're constantly doing really neat things and offering really cool opportunities, including this We Read contest. And now I get to know you. And I get to ask you, as someone who's thoughtful, engaged, and a local and a talented writer, do you have favorite places in Madison to think or write or read?
I definitely do. I have always loved libraries. Like they're probably some of my favorite places to go. Whenever I'm like studying, I cannot study at home for some reason. So I always just go into a library and just sit there for like 5-6 hours. And people are like, what is this girl doing here for so long? But I'm just like, it's my favorite place. I feel like, because it's like quiet, but there's also stuff going on, and it's just like something about being among like the books. Some of my favorite libraries are probably Verona Public Library. I don't know if that counts as like a Madison library, but
we
definitely
count it.
that.
Greater Madison area, we count it.
Yeah, and then I really like Sequoia Library and the Central Madison Library. They're like my favorites. So,
and what makes them pop?
I think for Sequoia, definitely the location. It's right by like ice cream, and like there's a gym and there's a really nice coffee shop next to it. So I feel like location wise, it's a very happening place. And I really like the windows and the very open feel of it. It's very pretty. For Verona, they have like this huge glass window and you can like see outside onto this walking path. And it's probably one of the prettiest places ever. So those are like my two favorites.
God, I love it. They're so gorgeous. And I wanted to ask you, what are some of your like favorite spots to be a human, favorite hangs, favorite eats in the Madison area?
Yeah, there's definitely like a lot of good food and places to hang out here. I think one of my favorite places to hang out is just downtown in general. It's a very like happening, bustling place. My favorite's probably Memorial Union, or like that place by the lake where the chairs and everything. Like I think it's
Sunburst.
Union something. I don't know. Yeah,
yes.
But that's probably my favorite place by the lake. It's very pretty. I used to like bike on the path by Monona Terrace, so that's definitely a very nice place to just like hang out, spend your Saturday. I also really like Albridge Gardens. I think it's very pretty. Definitely a place to go in the summer. So those are some of my favorite places, just like go hang out. Some of my favorite places to eat, I love like all the food places in downtown Middleton just because they're close to my school and I can just like walk there and eat there. But obviously we have good chain restaurants, but we have really good like local shops, which I like, and food places, which I think is great.
There's a really good noodle spot in Middleton. Taigu.
Oh yeah, I love that place.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Okay, yeah, I've had those noodles delivered to me from a friend and I was like, okay, soul food, come through. Okay, for anyone listening who, hopefully we do have younger listeners who could be a part of this, or, parents or people who know, young writers, why might they take part in the We Read contest next year?
I think it's a great way to just get your perspective out there, to get your story out there. Everyone has like a very different mind and it works in a different way. Everyone has a different perspective. So just like just writing something, getting something out there, I think it's just a great accomplishment. You don't have to win. It doesn't even have to be good. It could just be your thoughts on paper. And it's just a huge accomplishment to even submit for it. Be brave enough to like write something that you truly think on paper, based on, a theme in your life. And I think it's great to just put your perspective and your story out there.
Well, Dia, you're one of my local heroes. I'm so glad I got to meet you and excited for everything you do in the future. And thank you for joining us on CityCast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. And I loved judging with you this year. So I'm glad that the person we chose won. So
Yes. And it was hard. It was hard, but they were really, really stellar. And folks, if they, they'll be able to get their hands on that anthology later this year.
Yeah. I encourage everyone to read it. It's so fun to read.
So you're listening to CityCast Madison. You clearly care about what's happening in our city and have fantastic taste in podcasts. I've got a recommendation for another local news podcast you gotta check out. It's called 365 Amplified. Every week, the award-winning reporting team behind Madison 365 digs into their most important stories from the week. They do stories and perspectives you likely won't get from many other mainstream outlets. They invite on community leaders, lawmakers, artists, and more for candid conversations. Recent guests include State Senate candidate Samba Balde, celebrity chef Elena Terry, and Ford Madison striker Derek Gebhardt. They drop new episodes every Friday at madison365.org/amplified. You can also search 365 Amplified wherever you listen to our show.
Want to teach your kids financial literacy, but not sure where to start? Greenlight can help. With Greenlight, parents can keep an eye on kids' spending and saving, while kids and teens use a card of their own to build money confidence. As a parent, you can send instant money transfers, set up chores, automate allowance, and more. It's a convenient way to run your household, customized to your family's needs, and the easy way to raise financially smart kids. Get started with Greenlight today and get your first month free at greenlight.com/Spotify.
Dia is so lovely. Oh my God. I love doing this competition, judging with her. All the writing samples were actually incredible. I was in my bed crying and laughing and being a part of the world of imagination. It was so lovely.
I love that. She had so many good things to say and so many good insights. And it's just so inspiring because we love the youth, right? Recently, I got to be a guest speaker at this youth summer program that's part of the Greater Madison Writing Project. And it was held over at Olbrich Gardens, one of Dia's shout outs too. So shout out to Olbrich. We love them out there. Mm-hmm. And these kids, they were in middle school and high school, and they all were writing letters to the editor. And they were tackling some really big projects, they were really big ideas, and it was just very inspiring to hear them talk about, what gets them inspired. And for me to be able to share part of my creative process and my writing process, I was always that kid that kind of had a diary, and I always found that I could explain myself better, process my emotions easier through writing rather than via talking, which is crazy because now I run a podcast, but that's fine. My biggest piece of advice that I gave to them was really just to keep writing, and do something first, make it bad. It does not matter. It can be bad. It can be incoherent, and then walk away and then come back. Right. That's a big part of my process, is that throw it onto the wall, make it happen, because then it's done. Right. Then it's done. And you just get to take a break and recombobulate yourself and get back into it. Recently, I've been going through some personal turmoils and whatnot. So I find myself leaning into writing and journaling more and more. For me personally, it's been really healing to get out into nature. I've been finding myself walking down to the Yahara Place Park, and there are a bunch of places out. It just kind of in that little park area. It's just really the strip of park right on the lake on the east side. And there's a bunch of different places where you can set up camp. I've set up camp right by the trees. There's benches. There's some sort of like steps down to the lake, which have been really nice. And most recently, I was sitting on those steps by the lake, crying my eyes out and journaling. And it was a very healing process. And it's just been really nice, to be able to like get out into nature and to be able to do that. But yeah, I'm curious, like, Bianca, like, where do you go? Where do you like to write?
Yeah, we've got such a great natural environment here in Madison. And I feel like also a lot of beautiful architecture that inspires me. I don't know. I love buildings, and yeah, I got all the feels doing this writing contest, or kind of being a part of that, and thinking about me at UW as a little badger. That almost sounded Scottish, badger. Baby badger. Like we've talked about Lakeshore Path, and like the Lakeshore dorms at UW are really gorgeous. They're just like got this cool sand color brick and red clay roofs, and you're right by the lake, so it's really beautiful over there. And I used to sit and read like on a big tree, just the picturesque sort of experience, which is lovely. I feel like UW really does letters and science, like LNS hard,
Yeah.
the science and the thinking. So I just am inspired. Like the city inspires me to think deeper. And I know we've mentioned Tenney Park as a great place to think and cry. James Madison Park, not too far away from Tenney, is also a fantastic place. They also have a little boathouse. Sometimes it can get kind of crowded. So like past the boathouse is kind of a secret. It's not really a secret, but a little bit. There's a path, and there's a space in a hill that you can set up a blanket on. And I've sat down there with a journal just to process things. There's all kinds of studies, not that we need studies to tell us that nature is healing and helpful, but like we really look at our screens so much. So getting out and looking at nature is healing. But in terms of like places I write, those are probably some of them. I want to talk about some places that I think might be helpful for folks. Like we've been talking about the library. And I don't know if people really understand like how amazing of a resource the Wisconsin Historical Society is. Like it is a big hitter, and it's a gorgeous building. And if you feel like you need some like gravitas, and like if you're trying to, I don't know what exactly would call someone to the Wisconsin Historical Society just for the gravitas of the building, but like, hey, I'm like cosplay, whatever.
It's a cool space. It's such a cool space.
It's incredible. Their library is, well, first of all, the building itself was opened in 1900. So it's 124 years old. And when you walk in there, there's like marble floors, spiral marble staircases. But in the library itself, they've got, Roman columns and super high ceilings that have gorgeous stained glass panels, and then like gold-plated floral lights fixtures. Like they've got the law lamps, those green glass lamps and gold stems. So I don't know. It's pretty like boom, boom, pow.
It's like the millennial in me is showing right now, but it is so Harry Potter coded. Like I look at that library and I'm like, this is Hogwarts. We are in Europe. This is magic is real, and it's happening at the Wisconsin Historical Society.
Yes. And I mean, if you have ever gone to DC and gone to the Library of Congress, there's some similarities there. Like it is very grand. And actually, the society itself is the oldest society in the U.S. that has like continuously received state funding. Like our state really cares about this place. And it's doesn't just look like the Library of Congress, but fun fact, the Society's newspaper collection is the second largest in the US after the Library of Congress. So
that's awesome.
It's a huge point of pride. And I also, if you're someone who needs quiet, it's very hard to find quiet these days. Don't worry, they will shut you up. You will not be hearing nobody in that library. And the libraries are open, Monday through Saturday. They're closed on Sunday. So I just wanted to shout out a library because it is library season. We love our libraries.
And it's right downtown too, right? So if you're thinking about taking a soiree, a dipping a toe into the writing arena, there are definitely stores on State Street where you can buy yourself a cutesy little notebook, because to me, it's all about the process, right? With working out, you want the new clothes and the new shoes. It inspires you to do the thing. For writing, it's the same thing, right? Like my journals I like a very basic, just spiral notebook, but then I love to bling it out with random stickers, especially stickers that I like collect from traveling. But, some of the shops on State Street can also be really great spots for that. I'm thinking of like Anthology. They have some really cute paper products and stickers and like really cutesy like local stuff and a lot of stuff from local artists. Super awesome. I know we shout out Room of One's Own all the time, but they've got some of the same stuff as well. I will say I went there for a notebook one time and the selection was like kind of slim, so it's probably not my top choice for that, but they do have a bunch of stickers from a lot of great local artists, a lot of great queer artists from around the country. So it's good stuff. And if you need good pens, they got those too. It's all about the process for getting started. And, when it comes to like doing the writing, like you mentioned, having a quiet place is just so important for me, because I find myself so often just wanting to run away from the rest of the world in writing.
Yes.
And I want to like drown myself out with just writing. And sometimes I write with headphones on, like playing music. And I did that a little bit this past week. I was listening to a bunch of really sad songs, doing my writing, having a little cry. And then I turned off the music, but I kept the headphones on. I have these like noise canceling headphones. So it was just the world, but noise canceled. And that was really great. I'm not going to lie. Like that was a 10 out of 10 experience. I was sitting right by the water. The sounds of nature were amplified and it was super, I don't know. It was just really rejuvenating. And again, spent a lot of time crying by that lake. Been crying in a lot of public places recently. So if you see me out there
on display,
I'm crying.
Haley. Well, feeling our feels is important. And the soundtrack to my creativity here locally is a few different ones. But the main one is, I agree, like nature.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to bring up a place to see in Madison, which is near Picnic Point. It's the BioCore Prairie. It's UW run. And if you've ever been there, congratulations, because it feels like you're stepping into Narnia. That's the first time I went there. I felt like, what did I stumble upon? It's this site that's being restored to tall grass prairie. And the work started like in 1997 to humble us people born in the 1900s. That's 27 years ago. My goodness gracious.
Don't remind
but
me.
the place is divine. And I can't really associate anything more Wisconsin personally than prairies. And I love prairie flowers. And when you go there, like it is a rewilding process that UW students take part in there. And it's just stunning. Like it's out of a dream. And there's all of the bird sounds and all of the buggos. And it's just a really neat place. I feel like we should, if you ever get the chance to go sit and think, that's where there's some like just a few spattered picnic tables across there. But mainly just some paths so people can get through. If you want to go check it out, I just want to say a couple things. Be quiet, please. When I stumbled upon it, it felt like a secret. So please, don't go and be loud. Like it's wild. It's a wild space. And the students are there studying like bird and insect diversity. They're investigating the relationship between flowering prairie plants and insect pollinators and trying different things out, like spreading sawdust on plots to reduce soil nitrogen to see what favors prairie species. So there's science at work and there's goddamn dreamlike experience there. And that's right by Eagle Heights Community Gardens, if you've ever been there. So that's my big secret that I'm sharing with you guys. So I hope you enjoy it.
I'm absolutely going out there next. That is the next place you will find me shedding some tears. This has been beautiful and very healing, Bianca. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you. That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, your host. And if you enjoyed today's show, why not share this podcast with your most literary friend? Call me Ishmael. See you back here tomorrow morning, y'all, with more stories from around the city. Until then, have fun.